episode number 33 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from sunny Germany today, which is the 11th of April 2016. Thank you guys so much for joining me today in a podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing, and yarn in general. You can find me on Ravelry as Wupfi, which is WUEPFI. And I am the Happy Knitting Podcast on Instagram. We have a group on Ravelry called the Happy Knitting Podcast group, in which there is an introduction thread which you guys can use to introduce yourself, which would be nice. And that's also where you can find all the knit-alongs. So today I have to talk about knit-alongs, finished objects, works in progress, spinning, sewing, acquisitions, and life in general. And as usual, you guys can always just decide to tune out when some of the segments are not interesting to you guys. So first of all, thank you guys so much for all your lovely support and comments and messages and replies to my last episode, because as you probably know, I talked about some a little touchy subjects last week. Nothing personal, but just some thoughts I had, and yeah, just getting a lot of positive feedback from you guys meant so much, because I was quite anxious about it. And yeah, thank you so much. I can't say it enough. What really made me happy was also that all you guys seem to say that you really enjoy acquisitions in the way that you like seeing yarns and stuff, and that was great because I like buying yarn and I like showing it to you guys. The only thing that I will say, because maybe that wasn't clear last week, was I said something about not wanting to promote so many things and not wanting to feel like a marketing board. So what I decided to do, or what I will do, is I will make some kind of shameless self-promotion thread in the Ravelry group just for that purpose. So instead of asking me via message to tell viewers about something, you can just post things that you make, things that you sell, designs that you have, and so on in the Ravelry group in that thread. And then everyone who's interested can look into that, and I don't have to talk about it on the podcast, unless of course it's relevant to what I'm knitting or making or whatever, because I'll always mention that. I hope that's okay for you guys. I feel like my podcast episodes are getting longer and longer, and I already have so much content, for example, today. So yeah, I thought that was a good solution. So anyways, thank you so much for deciding to watch again today, if you've been watching before, or if you're giving me a shot for the first time. That makes me super happy, and thank you for that. So before I jump into finished objects, I'll talk about knit-alongs really quickly. So we have two knit-alongs going on at the moment. The big one is the Crazy Color Cal. So a knit-along for anything colorful, rainbow, neon, anything that is colorful to you. Lots of people have been making amazing socks, and I've just been enjoying the chatter thread a lot. I can't believe how much you guys are talking to each other, and yeah, it just brings me a lot of happiness. So the Cal runs until May 13th, which is my birthday, and we have 3 prizes, which I showed last week, and I'll probably show again in a few weeks. Because you guys have been chatting so much, I wanted to do a surprise drawing today. So G of the OMG Yarn and Fiber on Etsy, or OMG Designs on Ravelry, she has just released her first pattern, which is a sock pattern called Zigzagamon socks. And they look really great. She already asked me to test knit, and I had to say no, and I feel really bad about it. And I still haven't knit them, but I do plan on knitting them pretty soon. And she said I could give away a copy of her pattern. So I already did a random number generator from 2 to 160, which was the number of posts that was in the thread this morning. And after drawing my own name for like 1,500 times, I drew number 155, and that is Philippa MC, who is Philippa from Portugal. So I thought that's quite funny, because she's been participating a lot, and we just did a swap. So Philippa, if you watch this, just let me know, and I'll tell G to send you the pattern. And also thank you to G for offering to donate a copy. So yeah, I think that's that about the knit along. The second knit along we have is the informal even star cowl for the even star pattern by Susan Pandorf. That's a endless knit along in the sense that I'll just leave the thread open. There's no end date, there's no prizes. Well, that kind of is a prize, but just read the thread and it'll all make sense. And a few people are knitting the even star shawl. I don't think I'll mention this every week from now on. But if you're thinking about knitting one, you can just always look in the thread because there are some tips in there, and obviously you're just cheering each other on, which is great fun. So now I move on to finished objects. So the first finished object is a pair of socks. And it looks like this. These are my handspun socks that I've been knitting for a while. I spun this out of a merino nylon blend from Fawned Fiber, and I spun it into really thin singles which I chain plied. These socks were knit over 60 stitches, and as you can see they have a 1x1 twisted rib and a fish lips kiss heel, like all of my socks, and a rounded toe. I don't think I've talked about the way I do my toes before, so what I do is I decrease every second row until I have either 8 stitches per DPN or 16 stitches per needle if I'm doing magic loop. And after that I decrease every row. And that gives you this sort of more rounded shape, which I really like. And I do that until I have either 2 stitches per DPN or 4 stitches per magic loop needle, and then I just graft it all together. So this is my favorite toe technique. It fits me perfectly, and my grandma actually taught this to me, which I really like. So these socks were knit on 2x25mm needles. They are very snug, but in a good way. I really like it. So last week I had done the heels, so I was where the stitch marker is. And then what I've done is I have again separated them onto DPNs. So these were knit previously on 2 at a time magic loop, and then I put them on my favorite DPNs in the world, which are the Knit Brown Nova Cubics, which are the cubic metal ones, which I really like. And the reason I like to do that sometimes when I'm knitting the feet of my socks is that by the time you've reached the heels and everything, sometimes, you know, you get a little bit bored, and then by switching them onto 1 at a time, you can just breeze through the foot in no time. Also, I was reading Harry Potter. I have been wanting to read and knit at the same time for a long time because I love reading, I love knitting, but I don't really have time for both. So what happens is I just don't read. And that's just so sad. So with these socks, because I was knitting them, just looking at socks on DPNs, 1 at a time, I was just reading Harry Potter while knitting, and that was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. I think I knit from the stitch marker to the toe in one session just because the book was so intense, and obviously I've read the books before, but I haven't read them in a long time, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying them. So yeah, that's another reason why I switched, and that makes these socks kind of Harry Potter related to me. I'm not going to enter them in the cowl because it's not a Harry Potter pattern or yarn, but for me these will always be related to Harry Potter, which was really nice. So yeah, these are my socks. That's my finished object, and I thought that was going to be my only finished object, but apparently it isn't because something crazy happened. Are you ready? Dum, da, 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 da. I finished my even star shawl. I was not planning on finishing my even star shawl, but that's a whole long story, so I think what I'll do is I'll show you the even star first, and then I'll talk about it. I'll talk about what happened. So this is the even star shawl by Susan Pandorf, and I'm just ridiculously excited about this. Yeah, so I'll just show it to you. I've been thinking about how I would wear it, and there's 2 ways that come to mind for me. So either I just kind of throw it around my back, and then it becomes this sort of jacket, like long drapey shawl, I guess. So if maybe I can stand up a little and show you. You know, I can wear it like this and wrap myself in it, and I think that is super fun. So I might just leave it like that. Actually, I'll show you the other way that I've been wearing it. So the other way that I would like to wear it is I just find the middle and just kind of divide it into half, and then just wear it as a normal crescent shaped sort of shawl. And because it is lace but is then double layered, it's really like nice and thick and drapey, and I just love the crap out of this shawl. I am ridiculously excited about this. So to go back to the beginning, this shawl is by Susan Pandorf. It's the one that I mentioned for the knit along, and I've been knitting it for, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm knitting it on 3.5mm needles, and the yarn is Das Mondschaf in a base that is unfortunately discontinued. It is a 50% merino, 50% silk base, and I used 2 skeins of 100 grams. So what happened? This is a shawl that you knit in the round, obviously, and there's 3 charts, and I finished the 3rd chart, and then you do a applied border. Well, I started the border. I knit about 8 repeats, I think, which took quite a while before, for the first time, looking at the yarn that I had left. And then I was starting to get a little worried because I had only 45 grams of yarn left and about 47 repeats to go. So I did another repeat and weighed the yarn, and apparently I'd used about 1 gram. I was like, oh no, that doesn't work. So I did another repeat, weighed it again, and so on and so forth, hoping that maybe it's a sort of, 3 repeats take 2 grams kind of situation, because my scale doesn't do milligrams, so there's a limit to how proper, I didn't really know. That's the point. So I kept, doing math and trying to figure it all out, and no matter what I did, it just became very clear that it was going to be ridiculously close, like a matter of grams. And like I said, already knitting 8 repeats, so by that time I think I knit about 11, took a long time, and there's like 56 in total. So I was going back and forth, and I was complaining to people on Instagram, so thank you to everyone who sent me good luck wishes and all that. In the end, I decided to rip back. People suggested to do a 2-colored border or a different colored border, but I just really wanted this shawl to be in 1 color. And the thing is, with the applied border, obviously it would have taken me quite a lot of hours to finish it. And then I only need to be missing like half a repeat, and the pattern will be screwed up. Like, there is no fixing it, there's no fudging it. If it doesn't go around the entire shawl, if there's a little bit missing, it'll look terrible. So that's why I decided to not torture myself and not commit to another week or something of work on this if I don't know if it's gonna work out. So I ripped back, and what I did instead is I just did a simple picot bind off. So, can you see this? This is what it looks like. I used the picot bind off instructions from Agata Makiewicz, who is a Manita on Ravelry. In her Neptunia shawl, she had new to me instructions for picot bind off, and I really liked them, so I just used them. And doing picot bind offs over like 600 and something, or possibly even 700 stitches took a long time, but I finished it, and I am really, really happy with it. Going back to my yarn dilemma, after ripping back and before doing the bind off, I weighed the yarn again, and did the math, and it turns out I was missing exactly, or I think I had 1 gram left over if I had done the border and my math worked out perfectly. So theoretically it would have been possible, but most likely I don't think it would have worked because, you know, just a gauge. If you loosen up a tiny bit or something, that will have a huge effect, and 1 gram of yarn is very, very little yarn to spare. So yeah, anyways, I did it this way and I am over the moon with it, in case you haven't noticed. I'm just going to put it back on again that way because I really like that. And I'm actually a little cold today, so that's perfect. What else was there to say? I thought I woven all the ends because there was quite a few, because there was quite a few knots in the skein, so I every time had to undo the knot and then reattach the yarn and have lots of ends to weave in. I keep on finding more ends because the shawl is just so huge, but I think there's only one more to go and then I'm actually officially done. I haven't done the most thorough blocking job on this just because I wanted to block it very quickly to be able to show you. And honestly, I do like blocking for the point that I want to have a nice fabric, and obviously the lace needs to open up. But beyond that point, there's no way I'm going to pin out every single of these little picots because I just don't have the time for that. And I feel like, yes, it'll look pretty for a little bit longer and then maybe I'll have a prettier picture, but in the grand scheme of things, it won't matter at all. Oh, another thing about the whole yarn usage thing is, in this sort of part of the pattern, you repeat 4 rows a certain amount of time, and I actually left out a repeat. So if I had knit those 4 extra rows, I would have definitely not been able to do the border either. So I thought that was quite funny. But if you're worried about running out of yarn, I can safely say it's all my fault because I went up in needle size. Don't ask me why. I remember making that decision, and at that time, I think the border just seemed so far away because I thought I was going to be working on this for a couple of months, and yeah, I wasn't really thinking very clearly, obviously. So I went up from 3.25 to 3.5 millimeter needles. And at that time I also thought, oh, maybe I do a different kind of border or whatever, I'll just figure it out. And yeah, I have learned my lesson, that's not a great idea. And yeah, but it worked out and it's fine. So I actually now have about 40 grams of yarn left because obviously I ripped back and the picots took way less yardage. But I'm really happy to have some left over because I love this yarn. So it's nice to have a little memory cake of my shawl. So yeah, I've been talking about this for ages. I think I'll just move on to my works in progress. And the first work in progress that I want to show you is my blanket. I've been trying to really put some work into it, and I've knit 5.5, I guess, squares. So my blanket looks like this. And in chronological order, I added this square, which is the yarn from Sternenstaubwolle that I used for my Harry Potter socks, my Moody stockings. And then I started a new row with my Shibot Garne mini skeins that she sent me. So this is the soft sock base in Be My Valentine. Then this one is a blue mini skein, which I'm 90% sure is from Alabot yarn. I really like this blue. And then this is another Shibot Garne soft sock. And I love this base. It is really plump and luxurious. I really enjoy that. And then to compare, I also put in a mini of their bot socks base, which is their more rustic, hard-wearing kind of base, I think. And I also really like it, but you can clearly feel the difference. And then the square that I'm working on at the moment is the yarn that I use for my boyfriend's socks, which he loves. It's Ferner Wolle, which is an Austrian yarn brand. And yeah, he loves this yarn to death. I actually knit him a little good luck heart yesterday, which I posted on Instagram, because he wanted to take a little piece of his good luck yarn to his interview, because obviously he couldn't wear his yellow and green socks to his job interview today. So yeah, that's my blanket. I'm knitting my squares over 49 stitches, and I'm doing the thing where you decrease with a central double decrease in the front, and then in the back you purl that stitch, and that gives you this sort of line that is more prominent than in other kind of sock yarn blankets. And I am knitting my ends in as I go, so my back looks like this, because honestly I'm the worst at weaving in ends, so I know that if I don't knit them in, I will just not be happy. So yeah, that's my blanket, and I'm knitting it on size 0 or 2mm needles. Now moving on to my other works in progress. Right now I'm just trying to finish everything. I really want to clear most of my needles and then have a big cast on party. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that I finished 2 objects or projects last week. So this is my featherweight cardigan. It is knit out of Handspun, and this is the coast base, which is a 55% lamb's wool, 45% cotton blend in the colorway Skylight, and it's a lace weight yarn. I'm onto my second ball of yarn now. I have 3, but I'm not worried because I'm close to finishing the body, I think. Let me just untangle. So I tried this on the other day because I realized I was already like, I think 5 centimeters past how long you should be knitting the body before starting the ribbing. So I tried it on, but it's still too short. So I don't know, that's kind of weird because I am relatively tall, but I'm not super tall. So that kind of surprised me because I've already made it longer than I should have, and it's still really, really short on me. But I do have a long torso. But yeah, this is what it looks like right now. Excuse the end, random ends hanging off. There we go. So yeah, like I don't really know what to tell you about this. It's the featherweight pattern by Hannah Fettig. I really like how the yarn is knitting up. I am using 3.5mm needles, and these are my Knit Pro Naturals. I only have this one set of needle tips because I don't really particularly like them, but they're good for this kind of yarn because they're wooden, so they're a little bit easier on my hands. Yeah, the stitch marker, if you're wondering, is where I was last week, so I've knit about, I don't know, 10 to 12 centimeters maybe. And yeah, I think that's all I have to tell you about this. So like I said, it was a little bit too short. Otherwise, I'm knitting the 35.5-inch size, which is supposed to fit me fine, and I think the way the pattern is written, it fits me fine because the pattern makes the cardigan a pretty tight fitted cardigan, whereas I realize that I like my garments to be oversized. I do really like positive ease on my sweaters and tops and all that. That's just kind of the style that I wear. Like I like my skinny jeans and then a oversized sweater. So I think if I knit this again, I would maybe make it a size bigger. But like I said, it fits fine. It's just maybe a little bit different to what I would pick in a store. But again, it hasn't been blocked, so I'm sure I can block it out a little and it'll be perfect. So today, apparently for some reason, my camera keeps on crashing and I don't notice it. So I will go back to telling you about my next project, which I've talked about before, but you didn't hear it because my camera crashed. So my next work in progress are my Hermione's Easter socks, as I like to call them. They're Hermione's Everyday socks in yarn from Felt Fusion. The colorway is Sam I Am, and it was a club colorway from her club in February, I think. So I had just turned the heel last week, so you can see the stitch marker there. And as you can see, I've knit most of the foot. So this is the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern by Erica Luder. And on the back of the foot, I am just knitting it in stockinette. I actually really like how the yarn is knitting up in stockinette, so I'm thinking Maybe I should have done the whole sock and stockinette, but oh well. I've knit a relatively long cuff, and I am doing 32 stitches on the front and 28 stitches on the back, so the heel is over more than 50% of the stitches, so I'm curious to see if that makes a difference. I have about 3 or 4 centimeters to go before I can start the toe, and then these will be done. I'm really enjoying working on them. I think Felt Fusion has one of my most favorite yarn bases ever. This is just her standard sock base, but it is really soft and it's relatively thin as well. And I just love working with it. And then the needles that I'm using are my Haya Sharps fixed circulars in 2.25mm, and I absolutely adore these needles. I say this every week, but yeah, I love these needles, I love the yarn, I love the socks. I'm really happy with them. My next work in progress is a test knit for Mina of the yarn, no, Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast. So she asked me, which was great, thank you Mina, and I'm test knitting a shawl pattern for her, which is called the Budding Bluebells shawl. So first of all, I chose a different yarn, which was a Wollmeise in a very variegated colorway, and I knit a fair bit before deciding I just can't deal with the way it looks, not because the pattern is wrong, but because I don't really like knitting shawls on variegated yarn. So I ripped back and chose a different yarn, and the yarn that I chose is this one. And let me get the label for you, sorry. The label, this yarn is from Woolen Yarns. It's the first time knitting with it. And it's her footsie base in the Angry Orchid colorway. So it's an 80/20 BFL nylon sock base. If you're wondering when did I get Woolen, I won this in Lara of the Fawn Knits Cozy Cow, I think it was called, last year. So I think I got this in like November. She sent this skein of yarn to me, and I never used it because I was kind of treasuring it, and I just decided that this is the perfect project to use it. So my shawl is scrunched up on the needles, so I'm not sure how much you're gonna be able to see. But like I said, this is Mina's Budding Bluebell shawl. It is a crescent-shaped shawl, and there will be a second color. But right now I'm just in the main body, which has a textured stitch. And right now it looks like this. I think this is one of the patterns that will only really look amazing once it's blocked. So right now it's all kind of scrunched together, but you can see this cool kind of stitch pattern, which I really enjoy. And I love how the yarn is knitting up. I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's like little green speckles of yarn in here. Yeah, I really feel like it's not showing up very well on camera today. Maybe I can show it to you better in this skein. But there's like little specks of brown and green, and yeah, I really like how it's knitting up. Right now, I'm planning to pair it with this color. I'm gonna take off the shawl because I feel like it confuses everything in the background. But these two colors together I thought might work quite well. I actually went to 3 different yarn stores yesterday to find a better color because I thought for the lace edging it would be nice to have a sort of, to pick up on these green speckles. But I didn't find anything I liked. I thought about a cream, I thought about a brown, but I didn't find anything I liked. And the light just changed, so I feel like now it's showing up a whole lot better than before. But yes, I haven't 100% decided, but I think this will work. It's maybe not the best idea, but also I'm really bad at pairing colors, so it might be just fine. But anyways, this is my first time knitting with Woolen yarns. I'm enjoying it. I can see what everyone says about her color sense because it's just these little specks of colors. I didn't even realize it when it was in the skein, how much I was going to like it. It's a BFL base. I don't think I've ever knit a shawl with BFL, and it feels a little bit more, I don't want to say sturdy, it's really soft, but it feels different. So I think I will block this quite aggressively, and then I'm hoping that it'll be really nice and drapey. It's also a bit of an unusual color for me, but I do really like it. So the shawl is designed that you can essentially knit the textured pattern as many times as you want, which is nice. So I think Mina suggests knitting it for 17 times, and I'm up to like 14, so I'm gonna see how many more I'll do. Also depending on the yarn, because I feel like I'm running out of yarn relatively quickly. But I really like these kind of customizable shawls a lot because they're so nice for using up yarns as well. Like sometimes you'll have, half a skein of yarn left over and you could use it for a project like this. And also, of course, I'm a spinner, so with handspun yarn it's even harder to find patterns. So the kind of patterns where you can just decide to, move on to the next lace panel or whatever when you run out of yarn are just perfect. So thanks again, Mina, for asking me. And that's it for my works in progress, so I'll move on to spinning. I have one spinning finished object. Maybe I should make that a new word, finished object. And this is the yarn that I've created. This was from a set of fondant fiber fuzzlings. Let me just look it up. It is a Falkland Merino silk blend. And I spun it into a 2-ply, which gave me 280 meters of yarn after washing. So you can see there is a lot of barrel pulling going on. I really, really like it. It's also very soft. I've never spun, I spun with Falkland, I've spun with Merino and silk, but I've never spun with this kind of blend. But yeah, it was really, really fun to spin. I really enjoy Deborah's yarns of fun fiber. And yeah, it's really soft. I'm really happy with it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. But yeah, it's the first time in a while I feel like I haven't done very many 2-plies. I've been spinning sock yarns mostly. But I'm really happy with this. I also started a new spin, but again, I didn't take the bobbin off the wheel because I didn't think it was worth it. But I'm spinning a BFL braid, 150 grams, in kind of grays and purples, so very much my usual colors. But I have really lost my spinning mojo at the moment. I've just been knitting so much, and I've been enjoying knitting more than I usually do. So yeah, it's kind of taking a backseat, but that's fine. Another thing that I've been doing this week is sewing. So, you know me, I'm not a huge sewist. I still consider myself a beginner, even though I've done a fair bit now, but I just don't feel very confident. And I had these 2 beautiful jelly rolls, or I think they're like smaller jelly rolls. So I had 2 of them, and I bought them right when I got my sewing machine. So I think I haven't even bought any fabric since then. And I kind of didn't want to touch them because I love the fabric so much. But then I kind of figured at some point, I mean, if I'm not using it, that's not better, that's not really beneficial to anything, so I should just use the nice fabrics rather than just having them sit around. So I have sewn a quilt top. So I'm not sure how to show it to you guys, but this is what it looks like, and I can't see what I'm showing to you right now. Yeah, that works out all right. So what I've done is I had 2 jelly rolls, I think. Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but what I've done is I paired 3 strips, always with like 3 different colors. So I have the gray, the pink, and the blue, and sewed 3 strips together. So I had 5, broad strips of 3 jelly rolls, essentially. And then I cut them into squares. And then I just place the squares next to each other in the way that you have, 3 going this way, and then 3 going up, and then 3 going that way, and so on. I'm sure I'm not explaining this very well because I'm not a quilter. But essentially that's what I've done, and then I took the second jelly roll and just kind of put these longer strips in between. yeah, and that's what I've come up with. So I have a quilt top. I think I might make it a little bit wider because I still have some fabric left. But I have loved these colors and these fabrics since I first saw them on a Gem and Lavender store like a year ago. I just love these so much. They're so much my color. And the surprising thing is my boyfriend walked in and he really loved it as well. I thought he wouldn't like it because of the pink, but he's really, really excited about this. I think he secretly wishes I was into sewing instead of knitting. But yeah, I'm just crazy happy about this just because, like I said, I don't feel very confident in my sewing. So I tend to shy away from things very often. Like this sort of thing, like I knew in theory how it works for a long time, but I just kind of never dared to try it because I just felt like it was too difficult. And then I just kind of figured, I mean, it's better if I do it than if I just, and it's not perfect, than if I just leave it sitting around. And I must say, I am actually really, really liking it. Having said that, I think my problem with sewing is that I like to finish things. So I think the first half of this I really, really enjoyed, and then I've kind of noticed myself getting tired and everything. But I'm the sort of person I like to finish things. I like to have things done. So to me, the prospect of putting it all down and then putting it away and then picking it up again is very daunting. So what I do is I tend to keep going, and then I get tired and I start making mistakes, and I'm like, oh, I just need to do this and that and this and that, and then I'm finished. And then you have to work back, and then that's what always leads to me having really, really long sewing sessions. So I spent half of Saturday sewing this up. And then afterwards my back hurt and I was like, oh my gosh, I never want to sew again. So I think what I really need to do is just learn to take it a bit slower and just, do a little and then stop rather than just pushing through and then being exhausted. But yeah, anyways, I'm really happy with this. I'm planning to just quilt this onto a grey fleece blanket that I already have, because I really, really like that sort of concept of having a soft fleece on one side and then the quilt on the other, or the quilt top. So that's it for sewing. And before I go into acquisitions, I have a little announcement which I'm really excited about. Let me have a drink first. So I actually came up with a new shawl design. And I knit a tiny little sample. Like, I won't really show it to you, but quick, something like that. So I just came up with a new shawl design, which is mostly gonna be a nice, relaxing, textured pattern shawl, which I think will just look really pretty. So it's going to be a sort of really, really beginner-friendly shawl. I've written it up. I have it all not only in my head, but also on paper, but I haven't started knitting on it. So like I said, I want to finish some things, and then I think I'll knit up my own sample, and then if I like it, it'll go out to test knitters. So I am crazy happy about that. It is still a while away from being test knit, so just be patient. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. So on to acquisitions. I have 2 acquisitions this week, and I'm really excited about both of them. Where should I start? I start with this one. So I've mentioned She Bought Ghana a few times, and I've been meaning to buy from their shop for a really, really long time, but I don't know why. It's like I jinxed it somehow by saying I was going to order from them in summer, and then I just missed all the updates that I wanted, and then every time I saw something that I liked, I was kind of in a place where I really shouldn't buy yarn, and I don't know what happened. And then Nadine, who is the owner, she posted this amazing colorway on Instagram called Wild Thing. Is it Wild Thing? Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have that. And she had an update, but I didn't see it, so I think it sold out really, really, really quickly. And then suddenly, when I was actually a few days later sitting in a coffee shop with my friend was on the toilet, and I checked Instagram, and I saw that she said she was going to put up a few more in her shop. So I just essentially ran to my phone, and my friend, she was having coffee with me, and I was like, hang on, I'm really sorry, but I just need to buy this skein of yarn right now. So yeah, I'm really happy that I snatched it, and the skein looks like this. So it is a very speckly yarn. It's called Wild Thing. It's on her soft sock base, which is the one that I talked about before with my blanket. So that's why I was really keen to try the base, because yeah, it's fun to try a base if you know you have a beautiful skein of yarn. So this is 80% merino, 20% polyamide, 400 meters per 100 grams. And usually I think I wouldn't treat myself to the more luxurious base, just because I always feel like, oh, I need to save money and it's so luxurious. But I'm so happy that she only had this colorway on the luxury base, or the soft sock base, because it is so nice. I am crazy happy. I should probably show you her label, right? Pivot Garnet. This is the label. Yep. And look at these colors. I love, of course, the purple and the pink, and I can't wait to see this in a skein. I'm very tempted to cast it on right now. It is so nice. And it's kind of, again, I feel like it's too nice to be socks, but then I really want it to be socks. And yeah, I think it might just have to be socks. That's the thing. Lara of the Fawn Knits, she always knits with really nice yarn with socks. Whereas I think a lot of us knitters, we kind of like, oh, we should use the nice yarn for something else. But then I think Lara is completely right, because I mean, I do wear shawls and I do wear garments, but most of all I just wear socks. I love wearing my hand knit socks, and that's the only thing that I wear every day. So I really thoroughly enjoy hand knit socks, so why wouldn't I use nice yarns for my socks? So yeah, I haven't decided yet, but I'm crazy excited about this. The second thing that I got, I'm also ridiculously excited about. So I got a sock blank, and I got it from Strickaholic. It doesn't really say much, but you can see here it's on Davanda, and you can see the link here. And this is my first ever sock blank, and I posted a picture on Instagram about it. But you can see it is pretty crazy. It's pretty out there. I have no idea how it's going to knit up, but I saw this on Davanda, and I don't understand. Lots of people, when they sell sock blanks, they only show a picture from the top. So when I bought it, all I saw was this. And please, Etsy and Davanda people, why don't you just take a picture of the whole thing so you can see what it actually looks like? I feel like that wouldn't be so much work, but for me personally, that would really help. So I just kind of bought this and was like, oh, I'm just going to be surprised. And actually, this wasn't very expensive at all. But I really love it. I love the colors, and I think it's going to be a nice speckle kind of sock. So if you don't know what a sock blank is, essentially this has been knitted with a knitting machine. So it's just white sock yarn, and then once it's knit up, it is dyed. So by dyeing it in this knit up stage rather than as a skein, you just get a lot of like a different kind of color effect. So what eventually I will do is I will unpick the sock blank. So you just unpick it, and then you just knit with this yarn that it comes off the sock blank. I think I'm pulling on the wrong side actually right now. But you could theoretically, you know, think it all back and skein it up and ball it up, but I think the nicer way, and the way that lots of people are doing it, is they are just knitting straight off it, and that creates really interesting socks. So yeah, I'm really excited to try this. Again, I really want to finish things, but I think this will be the next thing that I will cast on. And since this is a sock blank of a single strand, I will obviously knit these one at a time. So I think these will be my next Harry Potter reading socks. So, oh, and she also sent me 2 little, I don't know, charms, I guess, that you could turn into stitch markers if you were crafty. I'm not really that crafty, but I'll figure something out to do with these. So yeah, that's it for acquisitions. So if you don't want to stick around to me talking about life in general, then thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you next week. Happy knitting! But if you do want to stick around, I will just ramble about my life and humble happenings, I guess. So, I thought about this week, or last week, and first of all, I feel like I got a lot of stuff done, which is great. I feel like I got a lot of knitting done. I don't even know how, because I was working a lot. I was just getting a lot of stuff done, which was fantastic. At the same time, it was kind of one of these weeks that had lots of ups and lots of downs. Essentially, I was really looking forward to a week of just working and focusing on my knitting and not doing much else. But you know how it goes oftentimes. I think I just, do research in the morning and then just do something for myself, but then something comes up and suddenly you're running around and doing this and doing that, and suddenly it's the night and you still haven't done what you actually wanted to do. Having said that, I had a thesis meeting, which was fantastic. I feel like now we're just really clicking and, nerding about details about research, and I love it and I'm really enjoying it. The only thing is that I tend to stress myself out about my thesis a lot. So theoretically there is not much, there is a deadline, but that is very, very far away right now. So the only deadline that is being set is one that's in my head. So I kind of put myself under pressure in terms of I need to be finished by July or August because such and such, but essentially there's no real reason why I need to rush, because it totally doesn't matter if I finish in July or August, or it doesn't even matter if I finish in October, because it's my last months of ever being a student, and afterwards I need to find a job and all that. But it's not like I have a deadline. It's not like I have to hand in something at a certain point in time. So it's essentially just stress that I'm putting onto myself, which is something I do a lot. I guess I never really talked about it, but I am ambitious, and in a way that sometimes it gets a little bit too stupid. Like, I set myself ridiculous goals and then I get disappointed when I can't make them. For example, I finished my bachelor's degrees a semester early, and it was fine, it was great, and it worked out. But then if you ask me why I did that, there's absolutely no reason. There was no benefit in it. There's no, I don't know. I just kind of try to make life harder sometimes. And it's kind of stupid because then I get stressed out and I don't handle stress all that well. But anyways, so I'm putting quite a bit of stress onto myself with the whole thesis, and at the same time it is, research. So, especially the process of, generating hypotheses and planning things, you can't really rush that. And because it is a big project, it's not like something where, you do a statistic problem every week, or you go to a lecture. So you don't really have that much of a structure. So for me, it's a constant guessing game of, am I where I should be right now? Should I be further? How's the timing of everything? And yeah, so what happens is whenever my supervisor is like, so when do you want to have your next appointment? I get really ambitious and, choose a really early date to come back. And then every week at the moment, I'm emailing him like, oh my gosh, I realize all the things I have to do. Can we postpone it? So that's kind of becoming a bit of a pattern right now, which is ridiculous, I know. But for example, I was supposed to write an expose, or I still am supposed to do that, which I have to hand in. And I chose the first appointment again on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So then on Thursday, I was like, oh my god, that means I have to write this whole thing in 2 days. Is that likely to happen? Probably not. So yeah, I am really working on myself at the moment to kind of just let things go a little, because it'll be fine anyways. So yeah, that's happening, and I've been working on it quite a bit. I've been researching, I've been reading, I've been writing, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not sure if that was interesting for you, but that's a little glimpse into my mind. Also, my boyfriend and I, like I mentioned 10,000 times, are kind of in the process of changing things. My boyfriend is in the process of changing jobs, and right now he is on the way to a last and final interview for his dream job. So he already had a phone interview, and then he went down last week to have an interview with like the vice president of the firm and all this crazy stuff. And we thought that would be it. So we were expecting a yes or no answer, and then I guess the guy who was responsible for him, who is in the UK because it's a UK-based firm, he wrote him again saying that there are two candidates. He's one of them, who are basically very equally likely to get the job, and that he's flying in from the UK to Munich to lead a last round of interviews. So that's what's happening today. So that's been pretty intense, and of course, you know, we're both, especially him, of course, but also me, we're both under quite a lot of pressure, because that could mean that within a week we will have something, you know, he'll have his dream job, we'll have our life figured out, or it might fail, and then I know that he would be really, really gutted about that. So that's happening today. Besides that, on the weekend, I was, you know, really planning to just relax and knit, and I posted a photo on Instagram on Saturday morning, like, I'm just going to knit and relax. But then what happened was really, I started by, oh, I need to clean up the kitchen. And then when cleaning up the kitchen, I was like, oh, there was this herb plant, I need to take care of that. So I put that into a bigger pot, and then I started, oh, I actually need to repot my plants, so, you know, put them into bigger pots with new earth and all that. So I started gardening on the balcony and doing all that, and then when I finally had figured everything out and of course made a big mess on the balcony, I brought my plants back inside, because everything was a little bit different. I was like, I need to rearrange everything, and by that point my boyfriend kind of already fled the living room because he was getting stressed out by my cleaning frenzy, I guess, because it's like, I can't, you know, figure out all this stuff if it's dirty. So I started cleaning, and I started, you know, really reorganizing our living room, and then in the process of that I went into, we have a tiny little room where we store our washing and our vacuum cleaner and that sort of stuff. I went in there to get the vacuum cleaner, and it's like, oh my god, this room is so dirty, and you know, it doesn't make sense to have clean washing hang over a dirty floor. So I again grabbed my boyfriend and was like, can you help me clean this up? And then really it went from one thing to the next, and suddenly we had this whole spring cleaning session. And yeah, it was really, really good to do that, and I really enjoyed that. Now our apartment is kind of nice and new again, and yeah, but I'm not much of a cleaning person or organizing person a lot of times. And then when you start, it is a bit of a never-ending process, as I'm sure all of you guys know. So it's not like our living room is nice, that little room is nice, but then okay, I also want to reorganize our bedroom, and then of course the bathroom needs to be clean, and the kitchen needs to be clean, and by the time you do that, you can start by cleaning the living room again. Anyways, that happened, and it was good to kind of, you know, I always like spring cleaning just because it's like getting rid of stuff and just kind of letting stuff go, which feels good. On Friday night we also found out that my sister got into art school, which is amazing, and I was really, really happy for her. I think she had a really good feeling after she had like a test, I guess, that she had to take where they had to draw and paint and all that. And she was feeling quite confident, but then when it came to actually getting the letters, she was quite scared. Essentially, I was like, trust me, I promise you, you'll be fine, you'll get in. Because I was really convinced, but then I was kind of like, well, if now she doesn't get in, then I'll be screwed. But she got in, and that was really, really great, and she was really happy about it. And on the same night, my boyfriend got some good news, so we had a little date night, and we went out to have tapas. So like little, I think it's Spanish food, right? We had lots of little things, and we ate so much, it was ridiculous, but we had a really nice night. And also we've been having the first bit of spring here. like proper spring. It's not even that warm now, but when the sun shines and you sit in the sun, it's actually quite pleasant. So yesterday I posted a picture on Instagram. We went to the Residence, which is a huge kind of castle in Würzburg. And behind that there is a really, really nice garden with, they have a rose garden, and then they just have mixed flowers and fountains and little stone statues, and you can kind of walk around the back, and there's like benches where you can sit in the sun and overlook everything, and it's just a really, really nice place to be. And we grabbed some coffee and just sat in the sun, and I think I might have actually fallen asleep in the sun because it was just so nice and sunny, and you could hear the birds sing, and yeah, that felt really, really good. I'm not a huge outdoorsy person, but I do really need to be outside. Like, I'm not great at sports. I'm not like a hiking person. I hate camping, but I do need just fresh air and sun to be happy. So yeah, that was really, really nice. So this week I want to get some work done because next weekend we're actually going away for the weekend. I'm pretty excited to just, just enjoy and have a little trip and kind of get out of the city, because sometimes you just kind of need to get outside and see something new. And obviously all this social stuff is really fun. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week. Again, thank you so much for being so nice and awesome, and I love you guys. And if there's anything, you can always leave a comment or message me. I do love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I will see you next week.